My name is AC Wise, and today I'm going to be reading to you from my new collection, The Ghost Sequences, which comes out this October from Undertow Books. I'm going to be reading an excerpt of the original novelette that's included in the collection, which is called The NAG Bride. Now it's your turn to tell one. Sophie swipes a piece of candy from Andrew's pile. He has more peanut butter cups, and they're her favorite. When he doesn't stop her, she takes a second one, giving him a mini Snickers in return. Andrew thinks for a minute, then glances around as if afraid of being overheard. They're alone at the edge of a small plot of corn, planted equidistant between his grandparents' house and their barn, which is where their annual Halloween party spills music and laughter into the night. Have you ever heard of the NAG Bride? Andrew licks his lips. Something in the way he asks it draws a shiver up Sophie's spine. Just the name is evocative, and she wonders, has she heard the story before? No, she would remember something like that. She shakes her head. It happened right here, Andrew says, a long time ago. He holds the flashlight under his chin. Shadows cut angles into his cheekbones and make the freckles spread across his nose look darker. His hair sticks up every which way, like a scarecrow. Sophie grabs the flashlight from him, shining into his eyes like a police interrogation. Just tell the story. Andrew squints and they tussle for a moment until he has the flashlight again. Sophie pulls her knees up, wrapping herself more tightly in her blanket. The corn rustles in a faint breeze. From this angle, sitting on the ground and looking up, the tops of the stalks scrape at the stars. There's an unzipped sleeping bag spread beneath them and a thermos of hot chocolate to share. Everything feels perfect, and for the moment, Sophie can pretend that she's never been anywhere else. Andrew and his grandparents are her real family. She never has to cross back through the trees that divide their properties to the house that's supposed to be her home. Everything around here was farmland back then. Andrew gestures, taking in the house and the barn. Despite herself, Sophie turns all the way around and her gaze snags on the trees lining the border of the property. Even through their screening branches, the shape of her house is visible. It's completely dark, her father likely slumped in front of a silent TV, her mother at the local bar. She turns her attention deliberately back to Andrew, her best friend, her brother, even though they don't technically share blood. Who cares what her parents are doing? After ghost stories, they can watch movies in Andrew's grandparents' living room, and if they get tired, Sophie can snug down in one of his grandparents' many guest rooms. His grandmother has told Sophie that she's always welcome here. She's always safe in their home. Okay, Andrew says again. So, a farmer is working in his field and he sees a horse outside the fence. It's a beautiful horse, and he thinks surely it must belong to someone, so he chases it. The horse goes into the woods, and he loses sight of it. The farmer is about to give up when he sees a beautiful woman sitting on the ground. Her hair is black, and she has very dark eyes. Her feet are bare, and she's rubbing at them like they hurt. He forgets all about the horse and takes the woman back to his home. The woman doesn't tell the farmer her name. She barely says anything at all, but the farmer doesn't care. By the time they're back at his house, he's already in love with her. A flicker of shadow between the corn stalks catches Sophie's attention, the light breaking weirdly. Her pulse jumps, and for a moment she's certain there's a tall woman watching them. When she looks again, the woman is gone. Maybe someone wandering away from the party? That night, the farmer hears someone moving around in his barn. It's not the same barn, Sophie says automatically. I didn't say it was. Andrew's tone is defensive, and Sophie is weirdly relieved that he seems nervous too. There's a delicious thrill to the thought that he's scaring himself with his own story. It makes it feel more real. Like the NAG Bride has always been here, and he's just telling something that's true. There was another barn here before anyway, and stop interrupting. Sophie takes another piece of candy, even though her teeth are starting to ache and she's full. Next month, she'll turn 12, and so will Andrew. This might be the last Halloween before they're too old for piles of candy and ghost stories. The farmer takes his shotgun and goes to look in the barn. It's dark, but he sees someone moving around, so he fires his gun. He just means to scare them off. He doesn't mean to hit the person, but as soon as he fires, he hears a woman scream. He runs to get a lantern, and when it's lit, he sees the black-haired woman on the ground. She's bleeding, and her legs are bent the wrong way around. Instead of feet, she has hooves. The back of Sophie's neck prickles, and despite herself, she turns to look at the corn again. A woman stands between the stalks, and as much as she wants to tell herself it's just a guest, deep down, Sophie knows the woman didn't wander away from the party. She's always been right where she is, and Andrew and Sophie are the ones intruding. She opens her mouth to tell Andrew, but the woman puts a finger to her lips. Sophie's heart flies into her throat. Blood drips from the woman's hand, but even so, she smiles. The man ties the woman up and leaves her in the barn. The next morning, he comes back with a set of horseshoes and tells the woman he's going to marry her. Sophie is still listening to Andrew's story, but she can't look away from the corn. She can't look away from the woman, who shifts without moving, who suddenly seems closer, and at the same time farther away. Then the farmer holds the woman down and nails the horseshoes right through her hands and feet. Dark, coarse hair blows across the woman's face. Only it doesn't look like hair at all. It looks like a horse's mane. There's something wrong with her face. It's too long. Her eyes too far apart. The woman points through the trees towards Sophie's house. Her father is in the house, all alone. The woman's dark eyes are a question, and Sophie should shake her head, no, 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 but she doesn't move. Soph, are you even listening? Andrew pokes her arm. She jumps. I saw... Panic scrabbles at her. The space between the corn stalks is empty, but something moves too fast between the trees. What? Andrew's eyes widen. Sophie clenches her jaw so hard it aches. The nag bride isn't real. But a tiny part of Sophie, shoved deep down inside, wishes that she were. A ghost to haunt them is exactly what her mother and father deserve. Never mind, I thought I saw something, but I was wrong. The lie tastes sugar sharp, sour underneath, like the Sour Patch candies in the dwindling pile between them. Her stomach swoops, hollow and full, and for a moment, Sophie thinks she might be sick. It's not too late. She can still run and find Andrew's grandparents and tell them what she saw. And that same small, buried deep part of her makes itself known again. Her parents don't deserve her help. More nights than not, an endless stream of people rotate in and out of Sophie's house. Her parents' supposed friends, coming and going with bright eyes and mouths open in laughter. No one has ever turned away, no matter what time of day or night they show up, because her parents always have time for everyone, except her. They don't even know or care where she is right now, wouldn't know or care if something happened to her. Sophie clenches her jaw even harder, her molars grinding together. Are you sure? Doubt edges Andrew's voice. Really? Sophie rises and deliberately turns her back on the trees, determined not to see. It's getting cold. Let's go inside. And that is the first part of The Nag Bride, appearing in the Ghost sequences in October. And thank you so much for watching.